Oh, hi. I guess we're live. Yeah, we are live. Confirmed. Dave Brown here, jamplay.com. It is week 6 of, I was going to say practicing fundamentals. That's Tuesday. Just kidding. It's jam of the week, hence the jam in the front. Today is Americana jam. So, first of all, if you're hanging out, thanks for hanging out. Second of all, if you don't already have your guitar, you should get that. Third of all, if you're not already familiar with the premise of the course, what we're doing here is basically taking a jam, like a very simple progression, like you had just got together with some buddies and somebody started playing, for instance, B minor, D, G, no particular order, except that is our progression of the week. And you go, okay, yeah, but what do I do with it? That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about different layers. So we're going to start at the beginning, bare bones, like how would you hang, like if you just knew a couple chords. We'll take it up a notch. We'll do some rhythm parts, borderline lead stuff. We'll do some lead stuff. And, you know, we'll talk about scales too and triads and all this fun stuff, how to interpret all this music, man. So, yeah, let's have some fun. Today's progression is Americana-ish. I think I modeled it after. For those of you who have jam play, I did a lick pack that's like 20 pentatonic licks right before I left Colorado. This track was on it. So if you're looking for more to play over this, I wrote out some licks over this. I called it the whistle melody because I wrote it in the vein of kind of like Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros or something along those lines. But that's a vibe. I was kind of going a little funkier in the beginning just for fun. But today it's pretty acoustic guitar-y, except this isn't an acoustic guitar. So sorry. But yeah, let's take a look at that first page. That first page got a B minor, it's got a D, and it's got a G. So B minor is for a half note, 2 beats, goes to D for 2 beats, and then it's got a G for 4 beats. That is your essential basic pattern. And so it's not going to be anything too crazy. If you don't already know these chords, let me just explain. If you want to make a B minor, generally speaking, when you're making a bar chord, it's, you know, if you have to get the root there first, that's good. But, you know, usually I recommend starting with like your middle finger and then 3 and 4 as the pair, and then applying the pressure, making sure that your thumb is on the back of the neck, just like in the center of the back of the neck to help pinch that goodness right there. So unfortunately, there's no better option for a B minor chord. You have to play a bar chord, but I'll talk about a capo in a second if you want. Then it's going to go to a D, and then it's going to a G. So that's the basic progression. Let's just hear the track so you get the vibe. So that would be like if you were just to strum whole notes or half notes. That's it. That's the whole thing, right? So you might say to yourself, well, Dave, I don't know any bar chords and I don't feel like making them because I'm lazy. Well, your luck. I'm going to talk about capo today. If you wanted to capo this, I should have wrote that down because I forgot earlier. What did I determine? I think we were up at the 7th fret. Yeah. So B minors, don't worry about the tuning. Anytime you capo, it's going to go crazy. That's not too bad. All right. Sometimes you just got to readjust, man. Like your pants, you know? You gotta get settled. So you got E minor, and then, so we're going to D. So that would be a G, technically. And then we would be going to a G, which is technically a C here. So I'm going to play along. It's still a tune, but I'll play along with that. So G, C. So that's your basic option. One more time for fun. Okay, so that is pretty simple. So as we move forward, if you are not a bar chord person or just want to keep it simple tonight, and you have your capo, hopefully, capo the 7th fret, and you can play E minor anytime there's a B minor. You can play G anytime there's a D, and then you can play C anytime there's a G. Did I say that right? That's confusing. Because you can play G for D, but then you have to play C for G. Yeah, we're on the same page. So you can kind of just do that. The same kind of strum patterns will apply, so you can kind of still hang but I'm going to go away from capo for the rest of the course. And by course, I just mean tonight. So, yeah. Let's take a look at rhythm option number 1. So this is just a basic strum pattern, Americana, kind of like almost, it'll apply for a train beat. This isn't technically a train beat, but it's like a halftime feel, basically. So essentially what you would do, what I'm suggesting you do, because this won't be the say-all, end-all. There's a whole bunch of things you could do, and we'll talk about them. It's not so much about walking away. Yes, like if I want you to practice something, you should practice it so you walk away with something. But this course is also, as are most of my courses, kind of conceptual too. I like to make students kind of think of the bigger picture and how you can reapply information. So forgive me if I ever go out on a limb like that. But anyway, I'll stop talking. We're going to go to B minor. So you're going to play the root first. So that's the 5th string. Okay. Then you're going to strum the chord. Then you're going to go down, up for 2 Eana. Now, what is not written here, I forgot to put the emphasis, but it's not a big deal. I'm sure you guys will pick up. Essentially, when you strike that chord on the and, so like 1 and, that's where the emphasis is. So it's weird. It's kind of like a backbeat, but like it's usually the backbeat's on 2 and 4. This is on the and of 1 and and of 3. So it's like 1, 2, and so it's very emphasized like that. So if you were to just plow right through it, you'd be like, for the D chord, well, I should finish explaining. Then I'll plow right through it, I promise. So the D, you're just playing the open 4th string, and then strumming the chord, and then down, up, okay? Then you're going to G, you're playing the root, which is now on the 6th string, playing the rest of the chord. Again, that's the part that's emphasized, and then down, up. So if you were to just plow right through it, it'd sound like this. Which is good. It's not bad, especially if the band's really rocking out, but it's good to take a little time to create a little dynamics, huh? So again, speaking of dynamics, we already mentioned that and of 1 and of 3 are going to get the oomph, right? But what you can kind of do on beats 2 and 4 is you can kind of just focus on the lower end for the first half. So technically what 2 and 4 is 2 Eana or 4 Eana, right? But you can kind of just do the lower string. So like a mini strum just on strings 5, 4, and 3. Basically the first 2 or 3 strings of any chord. So for D, it would just, you'd be playing 4, 3, and 2, or 4 and 2, because there's not much left with the D chord after that. And for G, it would just be like strings 6, 5, and 4, just that lower end. The concept is that you would play the lower end like little mini strums, and then big strums on the anda. So it's like 2 E anda, right? So you got, and really, okay, that makes much more sense. So I wrote it on in 2, and normally you don't emphasize the and of 1 and and of 3. So I'm realizing now that it probably should have been written out with quarter notes, and it's just not where the click is. It's a 2 feel, but a probably more accurate representation if you're trying to read something in standard approach to like this kind of strumming would be like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and, right? That's probably a much easier way to think about it if you're not familiar with 1, 2, and so if you count twice as fast. So let me just explain that really quick, and then we'll get back at it. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. No, you know what, guys? I totally wrote that out wrong. I wrote that out in a 2 feel when it should have been 4. My apologies. I was thinking it was a half feel. So it's essentially the same thing. Instead of 1 and 2 Eana, 3 and 4 Eana, you would just have 1 bar of D, B minor, 1 bar of D, and 2 bars of G. That was a simpleton overlook on my end. My apologies. You can think of it as 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so you're emphasizing 2 and you're emphasizing 4, which makes way more sense. Had I thought of it, had I just talked to a wall pretending I was teaching the lesson, I would have realized my stupid mistake. But, Hindsight's always 2020, I guess. Welcome to 2020. So again, you're just doing little strums on what's now 3, but it's technically 2. And then strong on the back end. So it's 1. And you can even start throwing some palm mutes in there too to kind of create even more dynamics. So when we started off as, it's aggressive. So so if the band goes down quiet, you can kind of start palm muting. And you can kind of bring up dynamics like that. Especially if you're just practicing a basic chord progression, it's totally worth your time to really explore dynamics like that, because there's just more room to be musical that way. And it takes some practice, being able to kind of push forward and come back like that. But it really makes a difference. You can really start to hear the song breathe. So that's the basic option. Over rhythm option number 1, we're going to put that against the track. We'll play it for a little while, and then we'll talk about. That's a good deal. Here we go. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Try and palm it. Cool. So you get the idea. Rhythm option 1A is basically the exact same thing, but with bar chords, right? So, which is always a good thing to practice, even if especially if you're trying to practice bar chords, you can always take a simple song, even if it doesn't have any bar chords. If it's just G, C, and D, it's always an opportunity to practice bar chords. There's 2 places you can do it. You can do it off of the 6-string E shape, which would make your 4 chord directly across, and your 5 chord is always a whole step above your 4 chord. So if you did with an A shape for your 1 chord, your G up at the 10th fret, you could do your 4 chord here, you could do your 5 chord here. But that's not our progression today. Bonus progression, hey-o! Didn't even plan on it. You're welcome. Not that you care. You don't care. Listen, if I'm the first person to show you a 1-4-5, welcome aboard. It's fun. It's fun. Music is fun. You got a lot coming your way. A lot of other great stuff. What am I talking about? Dave, get back on track. Sorry, guys. By the way, just jumping in today. Royce is man in the helm over on the Skype over there in somewhere in Colorado. I don't know where he's based out of. Greeley, Boulder, who knows? Anyway, he will answer your questions. So if you have them, don't hesitate. I love answering questions. Love helping out. So send them his way if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or wherever we're streaming Jam Play. And happy to answer them. So if we wanted to play this with bar chords, you can stick with this same B minor here. Then I'd probably play this D here. And then I'd probably play this G here. Okay? So that's one option. You can also play B minor here at the 7th fret. You can go up to this D here, and then you can go straight across. So you basically have 2 options. The one that's technically written is, and that's what we're going to practice right now. But if halfway through our practice you're feeling comfortable, you can also do, or later, after you've gain some comfort with that. You can also do B minor up here at the 7th fret. So again, this is just a basic E, like an F chord kind of a thing. If you're not familiar with that, just no middle finger. So I'm barring the 7th fret, ring finger on the 9th fret, the 5th string, 9th fret of the 4th string with your pinky. Going up 3 frets to the 10th fret to 12th fret, applying your middle finger because now we're going major, and then you would roll over to the A shape that's right at the 10th fret there. So that's the alternative one. This one is regular B minor like we just practiced, D with an A shape at the 5th fret, and the G that's off the same root as our normal G. You can even switch like that. It's good practice. Not the most practical thing, but as far as practice goes, might help. Who knows? Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get the idea. If we have some time, we'll come back and we'll play them a little longer, because why not? But yeah, that's the general idea. I started getting a little fancy with adding some pinky in. You know, that tends to work over that chord. So what I'm doing, I'm taking my pinky off, applying it to the 5th fret on the 1st string, or the 5th fret on the 2nd string. I also kind of, you know, you can kind of get interesting with bass notes there. You can kind of slide that back and pull it off. So it'd be like. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do, and if you notice, there was like one point in that strum where it sounded like I was playing less. Maybe I was just kind of negating some of the strumming. But again, going back to the bare bones, that doesn't not sound great. You know, it leaves space, depending on what part of the song. Obviously, like over the chorus, that doesn't really make sense. You want to build up tension. You want to build up energy during the chorus. So over, you know, if you're breaking it down, or just if there's like 2 or 3 guitar players in the band, if you ever get to the point where you can gather in larger groups than one, at some point you can, you know, one guy could be doing the bar chords, or the rhythm part number 2 that we're about to go over. One person could be strumming along, and then, you know, if that's a lot of sonic space that's already being filled, so you're not trying to overrun that. You got to know your place, you know. If it's like a Zoom conference call, it's like if everybody's talking at the same time, it's just chaos. Like you have to listen. There's call and response. You got to adhere to that. You got to just observe it, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So just thoughts instead of, you can kind of like. So like sometimes throw in the strum, sometimes kind of back off of it. Nothing too crazy. I'm sure some of you or most of you are still with me. But if you do have any questions, Royce is happy to help. And then I'm happy to help his helping. It's a good system we got here over at the jams and the plays. We're going to rhythm part number 2. Rhythm part number 2 is basically triads. Okay. So if you don't know triads, they're awesome. It's a great way, speaking of filling up too much sonic space, it's a great way to not play a big old chunky chord, to still hit the tonality, still hit the harmony there, but not step on too many toes. So I'm going to give you this basic roll pattern option that we can either hybrid pick or finger pick. Both are fun. And then we'll talk about the other triad inversions and just kind of like how you can mix and match them a little bit. So the first one this one literally is based around these bar chord shapes. The second option that I gave you that's not technically written. So B minor here, D up here, and G there. But instead of playing those big old clunky things, we're going to stick to strings 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So those are the basic triads. So let's just get that under our fingers. First finger is going to bar the 7th fret on the 2nd and the 3rd string. Ring finger's going in the 9th fret on the 4th string. That's that. Okay? Again, it's just this. We're just taking that little centerpiece. Okay? And then we're going to slide up 3 frets or up to the double dot. And then we're going to place our middle finger down. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3 right in a row, like a little staircase, because that's a little piece of that E shape. And then guess what? All you have to do is roll your ring finger over, and you got strings 4, 3, and 2 barred at the 12th fret. That is your G chord, just without the root. Okay? So you got... Let's just play that a couple times, because that's the basic progression before it gets a little fancy. That's a note we'll be adding in just a second to give it a little more color. Just kidding. Okay, great. We're gonna examine that roll pattern in just a second, but what embellishments were you doing with your pinky? Great question. What made you choose this jam for today? Well, both are great questions. The first question, I'll totally explain in a second, so we're gonna table that one for a split second. Because if we're gonna involve it, we're gonna get it right at it. It's gonna be a part of your repertoire in just a second. Now, what made me choose the jam for today? I didn't just wake up today and go, hey, let's go Americana. I moved home, and Jam Play was nice enough to kick me a couple courses, even though I live in Massachusetts, because of this whole COVID mess. And so I decided I wanted to kind of revisit some of my jam tracks that I made for Jam Play over the years. And so I just picked like 8 of some of my favorites, or at least some of them that I thought that I could expand upon in this course. And you just happen to be tuning in on the night of Americana. Last week was country. Next week is straight chillin'. It's like an R&B groove. We're kind of all over the place. Neo soul, maybe. I don't know what you want to call it. It's my white boy crappy abilities to create backing track. I'm working on it. I'm getting better, but I feel like it could be a little more authentic had I had a little more experience with that. But now I'm just rambling. Let's play some music. So the roll pattern, let's start with the fingers first. That's going to be a little easier. And if you're not a finger picking person, try it. It might stick, but if not, we'll get back to the pick. Hybrid picking is awesome if you're not already doing that. Your fingers are there. It's not like I only hybrid pick or only pick. Like, they're there. So if I want them, I'll use them. If not, then they're still there. It's fine. So, all right. This triad, your thumb's going to be dedicated. Basically, your thumb's dedicated to the 4th string, your index finger's dedicated to the 3rd string, and your middle finger's dedicated to the 2nd string, and they don't deviate from that at all. So if something's played on the 4th string, it's with your thumb. If something's played on the 2nd string, it's with your middle finger. Guess what finger gets this 3rd string? Index. So here's what we're going to do. You're gonna play both the second string and the fourth string together. Then you're gonna strike the third string in between. Then we're gonna split that up, okay? So it's essentially that same kind of grouping, but you're gonna split up 4 and 2, and you're gonna go 4. Sorry, tuning. Yep. So you're gonna go 4, 2, 3. So it's gonna go 4 and 2, index, then 4, 2, 3. Let's just get that under the fingers. I already screwed it up. Don't talk at the same time. If you can get that on autopilot for your right hand, then you're good, because then it's just left hand stuff. This is just gonna keep going. So it's gonna go, let's go a little faster. It's gonna go. So it sounds nice palm muted. Let's keep it open now. Good. So now we're going to apply it. We're just going to slide it up 3 frets again and then roll the ring finger over, and then we'll worry about the second half of that in a second, but it's going to go. Okay, we'll stop there. Let's do it again. You could totally, and actually, let's just do that for giggles right now. We're going to play the G twice like that. I gave you a slightly variant option, which will include that pinky in just a second. It's a nice tension, though. It's good. I'm glad you like it because you're curious. I assume you like it because you're curious. But we'll get there in a second. But we're going to double down on that G just to make it a little more symmetrical and just kind of repeat it. Let's try it against the track. Bueno. Okay, cool. So, get this mic, get a little cable out of the way. So, that's the general thing. And then, so I made it a little more busier. And so let's cover that part. And then we'll go over the hybrid picking. So it's going to go. All I'm going to do is, and all I was doing before, is placing my pinky on the 14th fret of the second string. So I'm still holding 12 on 4 and 4 and 3. But now I have this very nice Lydian chord. Lydian? Yeah, sorry. Brain fart on Locrian Lydian for a second. The 4 chord. Sharp 4, okay? That, you know, if you're wondering, like, you don't need to overthink things, like, especially if you know what's in the scale. We're in the key of D, right? So this is going, P.S., that's a good thing to talk about, right? What the actual progression is. We're going 6, 1, 4. So this 4 chord is in the key of D. Again, we got 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So you just get that really great mysterious tension. It's the same kind of melodic thing as that iconic, very, that's a major 7. Radiohead, Johnny Greenwood loves. That's just like an E chord with your pinky on the 3rd string, 3rd fret. That's a great. It's amazing, you know, I've been playing for over 20 years, and it's amazing how simple shit like that, simple stuff like that, still gets me. I don't know. That's just a nice thing, and it doesn't take much. Anyone can do that, but it sounds very pretty, very mysterious. That's what we're doing here. So, can you tell I love to talk? I just get sidetracked. Oh, there's nobody here, and I sidetrack myself. That's impressive. So you're going, then you're going to place that pinky down, and you're going to play them together, but you're not going to complete it. You could go. But I'm going to give you a little something else. We're going to go to A with this C shape, aka first inversion for a triad. Ring finger on the 11th fret of the 4th string, index finger on the 3rd string, 9th fret, middle finger on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. That is an A chord technically. Okay? You're going to slide it back, and that's going to be a G chord. So, you know, I did the triad course. Why am I thinking... I did a course on triads. I'm completely blanking on the name of the course for a second. Next Level Triads, where it talks about implying triads over other chords. There's a lot of cool things you can do with triads. We're not going to go that deep today, but you can create motion over just one chord like that. Like technically it's G. You can just play any diatonic chord. Sometimes it gets a little more strategic than that, but explore it. Like you could literally play any chord. So you got a D chord, you got an E minor chord, you got an F sharp minor chord, you got where are we at? G chord, you got an A chord, you got a B minor chord. Nobody plays a 7 chord, forget about it. So we're just gonna grab them all together, like a little claw, okay? I'm not sure where the camera's at. Maybe that's a little better. You see my right hand. So thumb, index, middle, still in the same spot as before. Okay, we're up and running. Let's play it against the track, and then we'll talk about the hybrid picking thing, and then I'll give you some more options with the triads because they're fun and some of my favorite things to do in music on the guitar, triads. And then there's still a lead part for you guys who are cooler than this and want to play something a little harder. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. Sorry, I get thinking about things that I want to say, and it sounds like I suck at the guitar. Partially true. Yeah, you get the idea. So, before I forget things, because I tend to forget things, 1.5 minutes, that's a good amount. It should go 2 minutes, but 1.5 minutes is pretty good. So, things that I think about when I'm messing up my guitar parts. You can go up to a full A. Let's hear what that sounds like really quick. I haven't even tried that, because I just thought of it. Yeah, you could even keep going, and at that point, again, triads are great. Because you get this voice lane. let's review those triads in a second. Right, well, I already told you what we're going to do. We're going to go over hybrid picking, guys, and then we're going to review those triads. But you can see there's a lot of potential with triads because you can craft an original part that was just originally, previously just basic chords, and then all of a sudden it has a little more depth, it has a little more dynamics, and a little greater range too. So if somebody's playing open position, don't step on their toes, go up high, find something cool, huh? So that is the basic option for that. Basic. Now, to me, honestly, I would never do that all the time. It sounds way too busy to do it all the time. Like I said, you want to leave space. So perhaps if you're playing that part, you would just go to the G a couple times. Well, I promise, we'll hybrid pick in a second. Or maybe just add. You can do that one twice too. Then on bar 4. So like, in a 4-bar phrase or an 8-bar phrase, maybe you would just save it for bar 4 and bar 8 or just bar 8 so that it creates a little motion driving back home, emphasizing the symmetry of the song. So, wonderful. Hybrid picking, without further ado. So, hybrid picking, again, you're just hold your pick like you normally do, but now we're going to utilize our middle and our ring finger. Pinky too, sometimes, not today, huh? So, ring finger is going to be dedicated to the second string now instead of your middle finger. Middle finger is not on the 3rd string. Pick is on the 4th string. Other than that, it's the exact same concept. Okay, so you're going. So again, you're still squeezing in like that. Let's try it over. Well, let's practice it a couple times. So just in case you're new to this and you want to get it up and running before we start playing on the track in a second. Here it is, nice and slow. Let's do it. I had an itch. What a perfect time to stop. You know what I'm saying? 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. So, okay, I'm thinking about more things and messing up more on you guys. That open E sounded nice. It was a little bit of a mistake. Sometimes those are very nice moments, right? That's not pretty. See if you can get it going the whole time. That's gonna be tough. So, a whole bunch of things to think about, but I don't mean to overwhelm you. I'm just really good at it. So, again, I wouldn't do that every time. Well, that's nice. You could do that every time, and it wouldn't really be annoying. It's kind of a very specific part, but the triads walking down is a little busy for an every time sort of a thing. Again, when I compose these, I just want to give you as much information within 4 bars as I can, apparently. So that's what 2 bars. Well, technically it's 4 because I don't know how to write songs out in 4/4 apparently. But yeah, that's the idea. 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a, or 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 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 4. That's it. Okay, so my ear. Again, one way to keep that going, like you can back off on how much you're playing, but you can also kind of switch up which triads you're playing as well, and that will breathe new life into it, even though you might not necessarily be backing off on how much you're playing. So we're gonna go over the different areas you can play this, and we'll just kind of, for giggles, kind of explore some options. So you could just as easily play this with B minor here. So instead of here, we would just do like an A minor shape. Actually, if you do it with 2, 3, and 4, then all you have to do is put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, take your pinky off. That's your C chord. C shape, I should say. D chord, first inversion. And then your G chord, if you just slide your ring finger up 1 fret and then rearrange your 1st and 2nd finger. So just do that for a second if you've never done this. Just switching them back from the 2nd and 3rd string. That's all that's happening. Then you're sliding up and you're switching, right? So kind of weird order down there, and then you slide up and then you switch them, and then it's 1, 2, 3 right in a row. And that is the beauty of triads. Like, I mean, even when we were playing bar chords, we were like climbing. That's the whole neck. I mean, it sounds cool. It's not wrong. But look, the simplicity. That's pretty great, you know? So same thing you could do, like. Now, the note that we added to that other one was a C sharp. So all you have to do is take the 5 of your triad, your 4 chord, and bring it back a step. So you might want to refinger that 1, 2, 3, and 4 as opposed to this awkward stretch of 1, 3, and 4. So you could do that if you want to incorporate that. Whatever, I never really practiced that one. Apparently. I practiced the one that I wanted you to practice so that we're all on the same page. But in theory, if this was a gig, I would sit down and I'd practice each one of these. I guess it's my job, so I should probably do that anyway. Sorry, Jam Play. So anyway, let me give it a fair shot. Now I feel obligated. And that was the other thing I want to mention. You can switch up the picking order too. You don't necessarily have to go. So you can go. So pick, middle, ring, right down through it. So that's an option. So that's one of the areas right there. This one right here is exactly with the one we started with, but there's actually closer options for these chords. So you can go. Then just take your ring finger off and bar fret, 7th fret across 2, 3, and 4. And then you would go to this, basically that 2nd chord that we just had, the 1st inversion, middle finger on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, ring finger on the 9th fret of the 4th string. So you got, just kidding, that's a D chord. I think it's because I feel better. I practice it mainly with finger picking. Apparently I got no excuse. And that's just the beauty of it. Like, especially in this, it's even more obvious with this inversion. If you're going from this first inversion back to B minor, literally all you have to do is take your middle finger off and all of a sudden you got a whole new chord. Whereas that was, you know, if you're playing big old chords, that's not obvious at all. You know what I'm saying? Now, if we're playing this G chord, the note that we would change would be on the third string, so you would really have to get interesting there. So you'd be like... I can't play it all today, guys. I'm sorry. So... Okay, next one. We kind of utilize it, but if you place your pinky down on the second string, 12th fret, there's your B minor right there. So it's really close to that D. All you have to do is add a pinky. And we already learned that all we have to do is bar our ring fingers. So you got... And by the way, P.S., I'm just kind of blowing through these, but these are all written on the bottom of page 1, maybe page 2, depending on how it played out. So B minor again. Middle finger is on the 3rd string, 11th fret. Ring finger is on the 12th fret of the 4th string. Pinky's also on the 12th fret, but on the 2nd string, all you got to do is take it off to get to that D. So what I was getting at earlier is, like, if I was playing that part that we originally, the thing that we are actually practicing, I would be tempted to go you can start to combine options, right? And that's a nice call and response. Like if you had to have this play out over 8 bars instead of 4, or in this case 4 instead of 2, that would be a good A-B option. So you could go, well, we'll start with the original one. It's a good call and response. Great. I think that'll do it for the rhythm part. Let's get to the lead. Again, if you have any questions, happy to go over it, or if we have time, we'll go over those progressions a little more. But I think we gave it a fair shot, besides my little flubs here and there. So the lead part, and we'll talk about this in concept if we have time. Essentially, you could rock a B minor pentatonic over this whole thing, but it's going to be missing some notes. So some key notes that it's missing are the C sharp, right? As well as the G, which is pretty important in a G chord. It's still, you know, without a G, if you just play a B minor, P.S. B minor over G is a G major 7 chord. Who knew? A lot of people knew. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people who realize that. It's pretty obvious with this C shape right here. Anyway, so basically this is going to be pulling from D major in full, all 7 notes. It's kind of, yeah. Well, let's just go through it. Why don't we just go through it, and we'll talk other options and concepts later. That's a smart thing to do. We're going to start on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, going up on the 4th fret. I like to play it with my pinky. It's kind of a bass player thing to do, but you can also play it with your ring finger. Okay, right up the scale. You're going B, C sharp, open D, E. Okay. These are both good questions. I'll come back to this. I just want to get to these questions before we jump into the lead part. Sorry. How do you know when to use a triad instead of a full chord? It's your option. Basically, a triad is a chord. This G chord is a big old chord. It's just a triad. You got G, you got B, you got D. You got G, you got B, and you got G. There's 3 1s, there's 2 3s, and you got 1 5. Okay? So instead of playing this whole chord, you could literally just play that, and that's a triad right there, right? So triads are good when you want to get a little more nuance, for sure. Chords are good when you just need to fill a lot of space and have it rich harmonically. Again, especially, you want to read the situation. So if it's just you and a singer, you're probably going to want to strum these big old bar chords. That's what I would do. Open chords, bar chords, of course. But if there's another guitar player and he's playing the exact same voicings as you, that's a good opportunity to, oil and water, separate those, but still together. It's not oil and water. You know what I'm saying? So there's, but you can also, especially if there's a piano player as well, it's basically when it comes down to having other comping instruments, harmonic instruments in the mix. And when does a song become a jam? I consider it, if there's a lot, so jams I consider mainly musical. It's not really lyrics. So for instance, if there was lyrics over this whole thing, I wouldn't really consider it a jam. You could call it a jam. I mean, that's, at some point it's just semantics, but I consider a jam when you take a progression or even just one chord and you explore the space, whether you're just vamping or you're actually, vamping just means kind of holding on one chord before the song starts or ends, or full on, like somebody's taking a solo and like there's dynamics, you're coming up, you're bringing it down. They're the same thing, really. It's just a question of when lyrics come in, we'll say that. Cool. So back to the lead part. You're going to play 2, 4, open, 2, and then you're going to strike 2 again and slide into 4. So you got... Then you're going to play the 5th fret on the 5th string, which coincidentally is also the open 4th string. So if you wanted to play that, you could. Okay, but I'm going to play. Then from there, I'm going to hop back to 2 to 4. So I'll play 2, and then slide up to 4, and then play the open 4th string. Let me just anticipate somebody probably has this question somewhere. Why would I choose it on the 5th fret or the 5th string versus the open string? Sometimes it's ease, sometimes it's timbre. Timbre meaning this open D has a slightly different flavor than this. This one's a little darker, but it's also sometimes just where you're on the neck. The open string's always open, so it's there, but I don't know. For some reason, that felt best. That's the first half. Let's do it a couple of times. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now, the nice thing about this is you could, let's just play that a couple times over the track. We can just do that one little part. 1, 2, 3. Times. Great. Okay, so that's the first half, the first little phrase within this 4-bar phrase. Now we're gonna get pretty crazy. It's not too crazy, but it's up here. We're gonna go to our pinky on the 14th fret of the 1st string. Notice the spread I already got going here. You're gonna want that. So your first finger is going to go on the 10th fret of the 1st string right below it, because you're going to play that note and then immediately play that and then slide back 1 fret. Those are the first 3 notes. What? Except for that open B string that I just played. Okay, after that, you're going to just roll your pinky onto the, well, it's not roll yet, but you will roll it. 12th fret on the 2nd string and then roll it onto the 3rd string. And then play the 11th fret right below it with your ring finger. So let's just recap that. So you got... It's borderline... I'm just realizing this now, which is why it's getting to me. It's almost like, don't think twice, don't think twice. It's kind of like that line right there in Billie Jean. Right before he says, don't think twice. Not to be confused with Dylan's Don't Think Twice. Okay, so after that, you're going to play those same 2 frets, 12 and 11 on the 4th string, and that's going to resolve to the 9th fret. So in total, it's going to go. So now that sounds peculiar, but it's really just a major scale. I'm just specifically choosing specific notes, redundancy, department, redundancy, right? And in interesting intervals, like I could play all of those. What is it? But then it doesn't have the same effect as. Let's play that over the jam. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So it comes in over the G. 1, 2. Apparently works over the whole thing. Just put it where it belongs, though. And you know what? I forgot a key. It's not key, but it helps facilitate this a little better. See, my mind's all over the place. I'm in the moment. I live for the now, damn it. So what you want to do is what I would recommend. It's 2 upstrokes right there. So with rest strokes. Rest stroke meaning that the pick is physically stopped by the string above it or below it. So it's almost like you're slow motion dragging, right? Essentially strumming in slow motion, but it feels different when you're picking individual notes than if you just trust your pick to do that. So I would go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You can also alternate pick it, which would be down, up, down, up, down, up, down. What? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's also a really good. I mean, you should be able to do both, but I feel like the what's known as economy picking would facilitate that a little better. We're getting towards the end. I might as well finish off this lick. It's pretty much done at this point. So that's going to result to the 9. We're going to walk up the scale to the next note. This is going to be a stretch. We're going to go to the 7th fret after that on the 3rd string. We want those to ring together, right? That minor second is just oh so good. So you might want to play that 11th fret with your pinky. And you can even give it a little whammy if you got it. Okay, so in context, let's take it from that borderline arpeggiatic appellation. What? I keep on starting that on a different beat. And that's going to come around. We got to go to. So it's in context of the whole thing. Let's put it against the track, and it's 9 o'clock. So unless there's any questions, I'm just gonna play this for the next couple minutes, and then Royce will just cut the feed, and then we'll see you next time. Wait, hold on. Again, thanks for hanging out. P.S. Next week we got Straight Chillin', which is like an R&B neo soul kind of a thing. And on Tuesday we got Practicing Fundamentals, which is timing and groove. Clearly, I need to work. Everybody needs to work on timing and groove. So I'll see you there. 8 o'clock on Tuesday, 8 o'clock on Thursday. Let's close it out. Here is the lick in full. Thanks for hanging. 1, 2, 3. I messed it. Here, let's do it again. That's where it ends. That's it. You know, guys, I don't know if we're still live or not. But that's it. That's all I got for you. So if you're still here, go home. Wait, you guys are home. Go to bed. Wait, it's still early. Go play some more. Oh, I am still live. Well, guys, okay. This is me signing off. Thank you for hanging out. Hope you've enjoyed this. Again, we got some R&B next week and Timing and Groove, and we'll see you next time. I'm just going to keep playing. Yo, Royce! Send me out, sir. Oh, that's a whole nother... Here's next week's jam.